can the Nigerian government encourage foreign investors to invest in other sectors apart from oil sector?
So I think we need to take a near-term view and then a slightly longer-term view. The most important action that the Nigerian government needs to take at this time to encourage foreign investment of any type into the country is to come out with clear policy statements about what the priorities for this administration are. If you ask the Nigerian on the street, they will tell you that power is the most significant game changer that will have multi-layer effects, will impact the poverty index of the country, and will improve the welfare of Nigerians, as well as give the economic GDP an opportunity to grow in double digits. So that's critical. In addition, you have other sectors like infrastructure, agriculture, and SMEs. So the government must give a policy, or we recommend that the government gives a policy at this time. It's good for the confidence that to convert the interest into dollars invested in the economy. The other thing that the government would do is to have highly credible players in particular areas of the economy, so that people are confident that the fiscal policy, the investment regime, and the foreign policy of the country are friendly for foreign investment. Longer term, the government needs to, it would be good to see the government play a role in participating in some of the key sectorial investments that will affect economic development at all levels, particularly improving on the poverty index of the Nigerian people. Now, there's a number of ways they can do this. So the government could play with cash. Given the limited resources that the government has at this time, they can support critical projects by attracting cash into those projects by either through guarantees or creating an enabling regulatory environment for those projects. The reason why this conference is very important is that we should understand that there's a lot of hope and ambition placed on the shoulders of this new administration to effect change. In reality, we need the broadest range of stakeholders, Nigerian and non-Nigerian, to make this change happen. What we have today with the Nigerian Bar Association and also with this business law conference in particular is a body of people who could really work to affect key policy in the areas that I just mentioned, particularly around power, gas, and also if we look at legal frameworks that are relevant for product and investment, including, I would say, things that give expansionary impact on funding. So off-balance sheet items, we talked about money market instruments, commercial paper. I would also say let there be a proper, transparent and safe regulatory framework, regulatory and importantly legal framework for securitization. We should have other products like infrastructure bonds. There should be frameworks and policies in place for how we get the pension funds, the insurance sector, and more local money outside of the government's coffers to more actively support projects in these areas by bringing their funding to the table. It's good to talk about it in theory, but if we have the right framework and legislative process in place for that, then it does make it more compelling, provide a more compelling platform for that to happen.
So talking specifics, what should be the specifics for having that policy in place?
When you say specific, I've spoken about the different areas.
Yeah, because policy let's move out of the theory.
Yes.
And talk about the specifics of having that policy.
So there's several policies. So if you look at the policies, the things that will drive economic growth and poverty and alleviate poverty in Nigeria, as I say, if you look at power, if you look at gas, which is critical to providing the supply for power, then those two areas they need to focus on, so the collective body of stakeholders needs to focus on policy for those areas.
Or could you think that we need to have a conversation to come up with a policy for those areas?
It's not about conversation anymore. It's really about work. It's about applying the level of expertise, intellectual firepower, and experience that exists within this market. and within this body that set up the conference, working with other stakeholders like the banking community, etc. And then, so that's on the policy side. On the regulatory framework and the legal framework, more importantly, because the legal framework is more within the purview of this conference, is looking at new products that will fundamentally help drive growth, responsible growth in the economy. And that's where I speak about working on securitization. So that's another specific thing that could be done. And also looking at things like infrastructure bonds, I talked about securitization already, and commercial paper and money market instruments. Creating the right legal and regulatory framework for that would create drivers in the economy that will help increase GDP. But importantly, we need to look more closely at what's going to increase GDP on a much more widely spread basis that affects the welfare of the broadest range of Nigerians.
So what can lawyers do to contribute to having this framework, this regulatory legal framework?
They can advocate, so they can write the policies. They can advocate for the implementation of those policies. I would say that
you don't think they're doing enough?
No, I'm not. This is not at all about anybody doing enough. This is about the collective body needing to do more to affect the change, and understanding that change will happen when the current government administration is supported by the broadest range of stakeholders who are well positioned to support it. So it's not about. I mean, this is a very important conference. It's not about people not doing enough. It's about how much more people can do.
Thank you so much.